Hello and welcome to the Supernatural Track here at Continual. I'm your host, Gail Martin, and tonight we are talking about the must-watch episodes of Season 12. We're getting late in the series here, but there's a lot of good stuff going on, and plenty of episodes that mean a lot as themselves and for what's coming up. So we're going to dive into that, but before we do that, let's let our wonderful panelists and their co-pilots introduce themselves. Melissa? Oh dear, we might have lost Melissa already.
Uh-oh.
I think that was the fastest ever. Hi, I'm Melissa, the Easily Broken, and I've been a fan since the night the pilot aired, and Kitty's been a fan since June of 2020, because that's when she started watching with me.
Okay. Elektra.
I'm Elektra Hammond. I'm a writer and an editor, and I've been watching Supernatural since the first episode aired, all the way until that last one just completely broke all of us, including Melissa.
Anna.
I'm Anna Kensing. I too started watching in season 1. I took a brief break somewhere in the early seasons and then came back and got all caught up and then continued watching through the bittersweet end. I've dabbled in some fanfic, and I also write queer, paranormal, historical, and contemporary romance, some of which are in worlds where Dean and Sam might feel right at home.
I understand that. Lola. Lola.
Oh, am I muted?
Nope.
No.
My dog is trying to kill me. My name is Lola. I have 2 dogs and 2 cats, and that will be the death of me. And I've been watching Supernatural since.
Oh, we're gonna have fun tonight. I can already see it happening. And I'm Gail C. Martin and Morgan Bryce. As Gail, I write epic and urban fantasy. As Morgan, I write urban fantasy, male paranormal romance. But like Anna said, all my modern worlds are ones Sam and Dean could walk into and feel right at home. I'm a latecomer to the party. I fell in love halfway through season 11, binge watched 11 seasons in 4 months so that I was ready for the start of season 12. Fell down the rabbit hole, and I proudly am an obsessed fan. So, season 12, there's a lot going on here. And there's a lot that kind of sets up the next several seasons. So let's head in with favorite episodes, and we're going to start with Melissa.
Thank you. This is not a must watch for setting up anything else in the season, but it's a must watch if you're a fan. And Anna, I'm sorry, but I'm probably stealing this one from you. Regarding Dean.
False.
Thanks, I needed that. I say that for the end. I'm going to need the last end. This is such a bittersweet episode. Dean is losing his mind, and his memory, and it starts slowly, but it starts to cascade, and it is really difficult to watch. Jensen's acting in this was some of the best he's done, and Jensen's got chops. But this episode just really rends your heart, and there's such a tender, sweet moment with him and Rowena, and he doesn't know who Rowena is. He doesn't know that she's a witch who's, sometimes good, sometimes bad, depends on the day. And she's so soft with him and so gentle, and it's just such an amazingly, incredibly beautiful moment. And just, this is also one of those places where we see the relationship between Rowena and the boys, and it sort of cements what does come later, that she's not really the bad guy anymore. She's an ally that, still has her own agency and is doing her own thing, but you really can see that she cares about these two. And just Sam's heart is breaking because Dean's mind is slipping away. And it's just, if you're a fan of the show, you gotta watch this one.
And
Okay.
you know where the
I
name
totally-
comes from? You know where the name comes from?
Regarding Henry?
Yeah. I love, well, I mean, I guess that's where it comes from. It makes the most sense to me. I love how they get the names from like other properties.
Mhm.
I think it's very creative.
Movies and songs.
Also, Larry, do not forget Larry the Mechanical Bull.
Right. Also,
And
you
all the
didn't mention
features at the end.
Dean rides a mechanical bull. I mean, come on, you guys.
pretty
Like,
cool.
must
I like
watch
that
just
for
for
you.
that.
And that use of broomstick cowboy over that, because this idea that for as difficult as it has been on Dean saving the world, all the things they've been through, there's also this chance to have a wiped clean, fresh start without all of that pain. And yeah, it's an extremely poignant moment. And
Yeah. And Sam mentions that at the end, and he's sort of he's talking to Dean, and he's talking about how he was a little bit jealous at first because, all of this stuff was wiped clean and Dean looked happy. And ultimately Dean said, well, yeah, I mean, was it nice to drop our baggage for a little while? Sure, maybe, but it's not just that crap that got lost. It's also everything. It was us. It was what we do, all of it. And so if that's what happy looks like, then Dean's not interested.
mm-hmm. And let's be clear, watching Jensen Ackles ride a mechanical bull is definitely entertaining. Elektra?
Who we are. Near the end of the season. I mean, well, starts with Dean. Finally, they need to get out, and he finally resorts to the grenade launcher because he's been waiting to use that. And all of the hunters get together at Jody's to plot and to plan. Even Roy and Walt, our favorite guys who, well, haven't seen you guys since we killed you.
No hard feelings.
No
And
hard feelings.
Sam shows like a whole lot of leadership and is like, I brought you all here because we got to do this thing. These guys are going to hunt us down individually, and we're stronger together than we are separately. And we've got to get together, all of us, and show them how it's done. And they pretty much, all of them, hop into cars and trucks and go to the British Men of Letters bunker to take them down, except for Dean, who stays back to go hop into Mary's brain and try and bring her back. And it's a terrific episode. We get lots and lots of yummy things happening. People die. All the right people die. Some of the people that we'd rather didn't die. I'm not sorry to say that we lose Roy and Walt. And in the end, we've got 3 Winchesters hugging it out in the bunker. It is very satisfying. It is a wonderful, wonderful episode. And the title of it is so fitting because it shows who we are, the American hunters, who we are, the Winchesters, and who we are, just good old red meat, flannel wearing Americans.
Yes. This is going to be my number one because really, like, not a big fan of some of the plot lines of season 12, but this one it encapsulates everything about these men, these people, this show, just what they do and who they are. And it just pulls everything together. And so we also get the scene when Dean gets into Mary's head and in order to bring her back, and he talks to her about all of the things that one decision that she made to make a deal with Azazel when Sam was 6 months old, and what all of the things that have happened since then, and how many ways in which their lives have been so terrible and so awful. And Dean he was never able to be a child. He was not able to be just a brother to Sam. He had to be his father, and he had to be his mother, and he had to do all of these things. And he hates her for putting them through all of this, but he also loves her, and because she's his mom, and he can't not love her. And he too has made deals that are terrible to save the people that he loves. And so he gets all of it. And it's just like all of these things, we get all of these things, and we get the bitch and jerk moment. We get all of this stuff all wrapped up in this episode. And it's just really, if you only watch one episode of season 12, this is the one.
Well, and I love Sam telling Dean that he'd take a jacked up Dean Winchester over anybody any day, when Dean says, I'm in no shape to go do this because he's racked his knee getting them out so they didn't suffocate. We get the bitch and jerk moment and the big hug, where we get a brother hug and nobody's dead yet.
Yes.
And it's a wonderful hug. But we also see the foundation for when Sam becomes chief in season 14, seeing that leadership. He's always been the little brother. He's always been able to just let Dean lead and be the good follower, the backup. And I love when he starts to call the meeting to order and he says, my brother and I, and then he stops and he goes, I called you here. And there's that stepping into the ownership and the leadership. And it's kind of like Sam grows up. And it was just done so seamlessly and so well. Yeah, it's a great episode. Lola?
Yeah, and Dean totally turns that over to him. He says, yeah, I saw you. You're ready for this. You don't need me. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got something else I need to do for us.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was a great episode. Lola?
I'm going to go with celebrating the life of Asa Fox. I like it because if you take out the demon, it's really just a chill episode. You know, they go up to Canada and they're all just hanging around drinking beer. We get to know some of the other hunters, and we feel like the Winchester brothers are finally kind of getting to know some of their roots, because they were never really allowed to hang out with the hunters because they were trouble. So it's just really kind of a nice like weekend kind of, you know, we're just going to chill and everything. But we kind of feel like we start to know this Asa Fox person, even though we never heard of him. We hear so much of them that he starts to feel like a Rufus or a Bobby, like someone we should have known this whole time. And we get to see Jody being really vulnerable, because we're so used to her having the sheriff face, you know, the nothing's going to deter me. I've already seen the worst. I'm just going to fight and, you know, be strong. We got to see underneath there when it comes out that, you know, she really kind of wanted a future with this guy, even though she was deep down, she wanted to be Mrs. Asa Fox. And so that breaks my heart. It was just a very interesting, deep episode.
Mm-hmm.
Lola, I will point out that there are very many things in the world that if you just take out the demons, they are very chill. You're
That is
clearly a
true.
philosopher.
You're right. We just need to take out the demons and we'll all be all right.
That's right. That works.
Light words to live by.
Yeah.
Take
There
the
were a lot
demons
of
out
great-
of my dogs.
Yeah. There were a lot of great moments in that one too, like Jody and Mary kind of having the mom talk.
Yeah.
And the demon that we at first thought was fanboying Sam, but was really fanboying Lucifer.
Mhm.
That was interesting. And finding out that there's a drinking game for Wendigos. And the Winchesters
also,
are kind of famous.
Yeah.
and also getting some more getting more insight into Mary's A+ parenting in that episode. I can't let that go without saying it.
So true.
Yeah, give away your baby. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Sure,
Well, I'm
why
going to
not,
go
right?
for Rock Never Dies, because we get Rick Springfield as Vincent Sente and AKA Lucifer. And this came on and it was like, Rick Springfield, really? But he did a great job with it. He was not afraid to let them make him look like a rotting corpse, which, with all the vanity in rock and roll, I give him credit for that, because he did look pretty bad there for a while. You had Rowena playing her usual tricks. And we found out that along with Celine Dion, Sam is a big Vince Vincente fan. We also got to see both of the boys in black leather jackets when they attended the concert, and that was a really good look. And
Brothers
then,
who rock.
yeah, And then Sam effing Winchester holds the doors open so that everybody can get out when they go, when the crap hits the fan. And so we have an amazing view of Sam there in an iconic moment. So it was just a cool episode and one that really performed much better than I thought it would. Back to you, Melissa.
Well, since you stole the one I was going to go with next, and Lola stole the Celebrating the Life of Asa Fox, the one you've been waiting for. Like, we meet the fool, and that's cool, and all that stuff, but really, the important part of this is Dean kills Hitler. And anytime you have a fandom TV show like this, or Doctor Who, and Hitler gets killed, that's an important thing. Dean kills Hitler. It's the only thing you need to know about this episode. Watch it for that, if for nothing else.
Yeah, I love when he tells that to Jodie and he's so proud and she just looks at him and goes, thank you. What do you say to this? And you kind of have this Dean kills Hitler. Later on, they kill God. I mean, it just kind of escalates. Yeah.
He gets pie, though. He deserves pie.
Yes, he does.
Because he killed Hitler.
And I thought it was an interesting choice in this episode that Hitler is a buffoon. He's not the scary megalomaniac. When he comes back, the guy's effing nuts. And it kind of reminded me of the wartime Charlie Chaplin movies where they did make fun of the Nazis and painted Hitler as a buffoon. And like Hogan's Heroes, where several of the cast members had been in the war and fought in the resistance, and their only requirement was that the Nazis always had to be stupid. Because he was definitely not what we were expecting. And oh, now he's dead, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, cool episode. Elektra?
First Blood. This is after the boys have stupidly gotten themselves caught by the government, and they are buried in a black site in what looked to be maybe 6x8 rooms with no windows and not much of anything. And they're just counting the days. And everybody, Mom and Cass and everybody are looking for them, but there's no way to find them. And they have not yet figured out that maybe if they talk to the Men of Letters, the Men of Letters might have some insight, but they're stuck. And after 6 weeks, Sam and Dean make a deal with Billy to bring them out in a way that was later duplicated or whatever in the A-Team movie. We're going to be briefly dead and pop back up in the morgue, preferably before you make us deader by doing autopsies on us.
Right.
And well, it's less convenient when people cut you open because they think you dead. And they, steal some gear and tiptoe out and say, look, this is where you need to meet us. We figured out where we are. And they carefully try not to kill anybody because after all, these are just guys doing their job. And later we discover that maybe the Men of Letters are kind of a problem because they don't leave any witnesses. And they sent Mr. Ketch in and he carefully murdered all of those guys that they left unconscious who were just doing their job. And he just killed them all in cold blood because, well, he could.
Yeah. There's a really great, awesome scene of, Sam and Dean just being badass. And, Dean's like, we're not trapped out here with you. You're trapped out here with us.
That was such a great line.
The whole way this
So,
it's terrific. I mean, they take out like a whole company of guys who are armored and armed, and they are like two guys with a pen, But they're Sam and Dean Winchester, and they've been sitting around in jail cells for 6 weeks, and no one is going to stop them.
Mhm.
And because they're Sam and Dean Winchester, they make this deal because after 6 weeks of being alone, this to them is worse than hell. And might as well make a deal with Billy that results in one of them dying so that the other one can carry on because they just can't be apart from each other for longer than a few weeks.
Yeah.
And we find out what the deal is later. And this is also where we discover that if you have Death's sickle, you can kill a Reaper.
Mhm.
We find out about the other part of it later. That's not for a while.
And we lost the chance to get rid of Mary early.
I
which
know.
Some of us really wouldn't have minded. She could have gone out in a blaze of glory, saving her boys, and lots of other crap wouldn't have happened. But,
Well,
Cass
but
had
we
to go.
needed her to help Kelly, because really
Blah, 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 blah.
none of the boys pack knew a damn thing about giving birth.
This is true.
And having her there holding Kelly's hands.
Could have had Jody.
I mean, come on. Castiel took an online doula class. You don't think that he could have
Yes, he took
held
an online doula
Kelly's
class,
hand?
and angels don't give birth, and he just had
He
no
would have been fine.
clue.
He knew enough to
Jody.
call them pressure waves instead of contractions.
Well, come on, his only experience, it happened in a stable. So, he really wasn't much help.
Yeah.
We should have had Gabriel there.
That's right, Gabriel. That's
Oh
right.
God. I think she was a little more comfortable with Mary. I really
This is
do.
This is true.
So we needed her for that. And after that, she disappeared for a while. Yeah.
She's
Okay.
catch.
Yeah. Didn't catch her. Scary. And after all that, I've totally forgotten whose turn it is. Anna?
Yeah, so you've taken all of the ones that I like the best because on the whole, this season, but I'm gonna go with somewhere between heaven and hell, just because it's a buddy comedy with Dean and Crowley, and it's been a while since we've had Dean and Crowley mixing it up together, and it's been a while since we've seen Dean in his hellhound viewing glasses, and also because we get the opening scene where the boys arrive back to the bunker, after like several cases in a row, and Dean is just an absolute mess, and he's got body parts all over him, and he's covered in blood. He hasn't bathed in like 3 days, and like 2 days for boxers, you just turn him inside out, right? And he's got the bat that was Dad's favorite bat, right? Which we know is Negan's bat from Walking Dead. And it's just a really delicious nod to another television show. And Dean is ready to go again. And Sam's like, no, you need to bathe, but don't use my conditioner. So yeah, this one is a really great episode for some of the levity and the comedy and the like sibling banter, and then also just like the delight that is Crowley and Dean just kind of getting back in their bromance again.
And you'd think with the number of times they've got to come back dripping with greasy, grimy gopher guts, that they would have an outside shower, or stop at a car wash and get out of the car. Because why would you want to bring that stuff into the bunker and trap it through? Just, hose off in the garage.
Right? Like the plumbing. Can the plumbing really handle this? I mean, yeah.
They need a Mrs. Butters.
That's right.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah. My head canon is there's a car wash in the garage and they can walk through it.
Right. Let's talk reality for a moment. Dean is not letting them get in the car like that.
That is a fair point. That is a fair point.
Or we would see tarps down on baby seats.
Yes.
Like one or the other. But Dean is not letting them get in the car. He's not touching that steering wheel with grubby hands. That's just not happening.
That's an excellent point.
They probably go to truck stops.
Yeah. Lola, how about you?
Okay, so most of mine have been taken but so I don't have much written for this one, so I'm just gonna say it. Episode 8, Lotus. That's where Lucifer inhabits the body of the president. There's something trippy about watching his power trip when he's supposed to be the president and he's still Lucifer, just being a goofball. And we get to see how, him and Kelly are together and how she got pregnant with. Well, we know how pregnancy happens, but we kind of get to see their relationship, and we understand the birds and the bees, because I didn't know before this show. Anyways, we understand the relationship, and we see the moment of conception. So yeah. Anyways, that was interesting. I broke, Melissa. I broke myself. It's
Well,
okay.
the timing in real life when that episode came out in December of 2016 was also unplanned, but especially piquant.
Yes.
It was really interesting real life timing. I'm going to go with Lily Sunders Has Some Regrets. I thought the character of Lily Sunders was just a fascinating character. She was strong and tragic, but she was trying to make amends. And she was a character I would have loved to have seen more of. And I thought that for a 2-episode character, they really did well by her with a very complete story arc and background. And, she makes it worthwhile and balances the scales. But I thought it was a very well done episode for being kind of a one-off. Back to you, Melissa.
Since we've really gone through everything in my list except this last episode. This wasn't such a hot season. It really wasn't. Keep calm and carry on. This is where Tony kidnaps Sam and she tortures him. She's trying to get Sam to reveal the American hunters, information on all the American hunters, and Sam won't give. And she tortures him, she tries to drug him, and she's doing like all these horrific things, and Sam doesn't crack. And it shows what a vamp Sam is on 2 levels. First of all, he thinks Dean's dead. And so he's carrying that on top of all the physical stuff she's doing to him, which makes it even more horrific. And then he's dealing with all this horrific, this just awful torture. I mean, not that there's any really good kind of torture, but she pulls some stuff that's really pretty horrific. I'm surprised that they went there on the show. And he keeps fighting, and he keeps fighting, and he keeps fighting. And it's not even necessarily that he's physically fighting her, but he's fighting to keep from telling her what he knows. And then this episode sets up that the British men of letters are going to be our bad guys for the season. We set up all this torture, and Mary eventually comes in, and they rescue him. But Mary sees firsthand what the British men of letters did to her son. You know me, you know where I'm headed with this. Go ahead, Anna.
And still, she gets in bed with them, literally.
Yeah, it really sets up Mary for being
the big bad this season.
Yeah, and it's nothing against the actress. This is the actor. This is not their fault. This is one of those writing things that I'm like, were there any women in the room when this whole arc was written? But you need to see this. You really need to see this episode to understand why Mary joining with the British men of letters is so offensive to so many people, especially Sam and Dean, because that drives that rift between them even wider than her just wandering off. Oh, I can't be your mother because I was in heaven and now I'm back with you. Oh, woe is me. Okay, this piece is so much worse than that BS. So, can you tell that I really love Mary?
Mhm.
More than
Also,
I love Mary more than John.
also, why of all the times for Sam's pain of death to not like be of death? Like, I guess they didn't actually do it. It was just a hallucination. So therefore she didn't have to die after, but
Maybe she hallucinated her death.
maybe.
Yeah, really, that should have been our fail-safe.
Right?
How did she end up
Sam-
dead?
Well, and
She just
Sam gets
hypnotized
laid.
him. Why is
She
she dead?
dies. Why isn't
Well,
she
then
dead?
that's how we know that they didn't actually have sex. Because if they
Mhm.
did, she would have been dead. So there we go.
She would have been dead. Right. I mean, there was Piper from last season, who was a one night stand and delightful, and she survived. But
We don't know.
That
on
we
the
know
whole-
of.
well, that's true. They did.
She lived long
they did
enough to
leave
go
her-
back to the diner, but we don't
They have
know.
found her
We
and
don't-
taken care of her.
That's true. Good call.
No witnesses.
No witnesses.
There was the big writing gap in this episode was that Dean didn't go back and kill her. So then, because he should have. There's no way in Dean's character he would not have gone back and killed her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense.
100%.
I
Okay.
beat that episode to death now.
Mhm. Elektra?
Well, as the only person here who's actually a fan of Claire, I feel obligated to take ladies drink free.
Okay.
Since no one else is going to talk about it. This is where they're negotiating. Sam and Dean are sort of negotiating with the British men of letters, and the British men of letters bring them a werewolf case. And this is where they get to see the good side of the men of letters, who bring them to a 3-star hotel and pay for it with a pool. And, they get to charge drinks and steaks on the house. And Dean's starting to see hey, this is not bad. It's not a scruffy motel. I kind of like this room service even. And they go and talk to the people in the hospital, and they're trying to be FBI and they're not getting much. And Mick shows up in a lab coat with a clipboard. He's a doctor and gets all the information they need. And they also discover, talking to Mom, that someone showed up and claimed to be Fish and Game, but seemed awfully young. And they figure out pretty fast that it was Claire. And Claire has been investigating this and the girl and her brother were at some skeevy bar, and Claire goes to the skeevy bar and talks to the skeevy bartender and manages to get herself bitten. But it's okay. Mick studied werewolves back when he was at Kendrick's, the Men of Letters version of Hogwarts. And like the old Campbell family version of a cure for vampirisms, there's an old version of a cure for werewolves that hasn't really worked on a human yet, but it did cure 1 out of 10 mice.
A little hair of the dog, so to speak.
Yeah, but you do need the blood of the werewolf who bit her. So they go off to find the werewolf, and it's either that or they're going to have to kill her because she'll be a werewolf. So they mix up the cure, and they manage to cure Claire and maybe instill in her a little bit more caution about the diving in headfirst with no backup and lying about where you are may not be the best way to do this hunter thing.
Ish posh.
Maybe. Possibly.
Okay. Anna.
Okay, so I think I'll go with the British invasion, which is a must watch because so much of this lame ass plot, thing in this whole season is all in here, but it also has this bit where at the end in the bunker, Dean, comes into the library in the morning, he's got a cup of coffee, and Sam is sitting at the table and he's looking at his laptop, and they're talking about whether or not, who's heard from Cass, and how Eileen, who is sadly no longer with us, has headed back to Ireland, and blah, 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 blah. And then Sam picks up an object in a cloth and hands it to Dean. And there's this just fantastic. And he's got this little smile on his face because he knows what this is. And he knows how Dean is going to react. Dean opens it to reveal a Colt. and he purrs, "Welcome back, sweetheart." And he's like taking aim down the barrel. And when I saw this episode, I had to like stop it multiple times in order to like take multiple screenshots of like Dean just like, and I have I watch all TV with captionings on. And so I have like several screenshots of Dean like holding this gun, pointing down, looking down the barrel and saying, "Welcome back, sweetheart," with this like look on his face. And you know, like the cult, it's iconic. We're gonna need it for, you know, killing various people, like say for example Lucifer and whoever else and blah blah blah. But also it's a really really nice moment.
Okay.
That's the episode that shows us just how twisted the men of letters truly are.
It is. It also like
the
it advances the
scenes of-
plot and all that
That's
kind of way. It shows us
young
totally
men
how
at school, and the
Yes.
whole we're gonna two students come in, one student leaves.
one leaves.
thing.
Yes. We also
And-
find out that the birth of a Nephilim is always fatal to the mother. And so, you know, we find out that Kelly Klein is going to die, giving birth to the Nephilim. And Arthur Ketch kills McDavies on orders from the head of the British Men of Letters, because this whole grand experiment in like recruiting American hunters is totally failing. And so now they're going to eliminate all the American hunters. And so their catch is supposed to start with Dean. So yeah, like it advances the plot line of all of these things, that have been set up, because we're about midway through the season, a little bit more than midway through the season. So it's a must-watch episode in that respect as well.
I'm thinking
Mostly
that
because
Kendrick
of the
has a real problem with alumni donors, given some of
right?
I mean, they're
Why
organ donors.
Anyone
Organ
send their
donors.
kids there?
Well, if
Why
you
would you
try
send
some.
2 kids there knowing like only one of them is going to survive?
I don't know.
John
I don't know.
Winchester.
Yeah, this is true.
But John Winchester would not have sent his kids to Kendrick's Academy. He would have been like, "I can train my boys better than they can."
They're gonna die the
love you.
old-fashioned way.
Nobody's killing my boy except me.
Right?
Exactly. They're dying in battle.
Lola?
Okay, so I'm going to do All Along the Watchtower. It's one of the ones I rewatched tonight. And they had a lot of good moments. For instance, Crowley had a line that made me laugh. Well, the whole scene made me laugh. Crowley says, "Well, whenever there's a world-ending crisis at hand, I know where to place my bets. It's on you, you big, beautiful, lumbering piles of flannel." And right at that moment, Sam looks down his shirt and I am wearing flannel. And then you see Mary, and she's wearing flannel. Her flannel is white with like pink, stripes or whatever, but it's still flannel. And it's like, holy crap, are they all from Seattle? What the hell? And then I love that Cass learned to be a doula, and he knows now that everybody poops, although I doubt really that Jack poops. I don't know. But anyways, eventually they're going to have to donate a lot of diapers. Let's see. We see the AU for the first time, and Dean mentions the French mistake, and Dean says, "And you were Polish," which makes me laugh because, of course, Jared Padalecki, his heritage is Polish, and that just makes me laugh. Crowley dies in a heroic thing. I'm like, what the heck happened there? But I think it's not so much heroic. He just hates Lucifer that much that he was willing to die to keep Lucifer on that side. And Jack is born, although he's already an adult with yellow eyes, and that's creepy. And at that point, we don't know what he's going to be like. We think, is he going to be the new Lucifer? So that leaves a lot for us to ponder until the next season starts.
Oh, we know that everyone poops except for Dean after Cass poofs him somewhere, in which case he doesn't poop for a week. So
week.
That is true.
We know this.
Well, it's all the meat.
I'm going to go for The Memory Remains. It's mostly a Monster of the Week episode. It's a small town where people are disappearing, and there are rumors about a goat-headed monster. And it turns out that there's a family with a meatpacking plant and 2 brothers. Of course, there are 2 brothers, a good brother and a bad brother. And it turns out they've made a deal with Moloch, and, hijinks ensue. But I'm a sucker for the Monster of the Week episodes. Give me a good monster, give me a good fight. There's great lighting and cinematography in that fight in the meat locker between Dean and Moloch, and some great shots. There's an iconic shot of the boys walking into the meat locker, and they're kind of backlit and they're in sync. They're next to each other as they come through the plastic strips. It's a great shot. So for the fact of being just a good old Monster of the Week episode, I'm going to end us with that one. Well, folks, we are through our time, as my dog is reminding me. But before we go, please let us know where we can find you online. Melissa?
You can find Katie and I on the TFWNC Facebook group that you run, or here on Continual talking about Supernatural.
Okay. Elektra and friend.
You can find me at untilmidnight.com and on Mastodon at Elektra@wandering.shop. And Piper has not yet set up her social media accounts, but I'll be working on that.
Okay. It's good she has staff for that. Anna.
You can find me at annakensing.com and various social media sites related to that name. But my active participation waxes and wanes depending on how much I'm procrastinating writing. Mostly I'm also here on Continual a lot.
And Lola.
You can search for me. I'm a writer. I'm Lola Lariscy. You can search for me. You'll find me and a bunch of dead old ladies. And hopefully I won't be in the AU because that place is scary.
And I'm Gail Z. Martin and Morgan Bryce. You can find me at the .com of both of those. You can find me on social media under one or both of those names if you spell them right. I do run the Supernatural TFWNC group here on Facebook. I'm a columnist for the Winchester Family Business blog, currently reviewing new Walker episodes as they come out, but mostly you can find me here on Continual. So thank you all so much for being fantastic panelists. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. There will be more Supernatural coming up on Continual, so we'll see you online.